Another episode of Hate to Break It to You, World's on Fire edition.
If you are alive in 5 years, you can become 500 years old. Seems impossible? Do your own research.
We're going to get to a point where we have longevity escape velocity, and it's not that far away. I think if you're diligent, you'll be able to achieve that by 2029. So right now, you go through a year, use up a year of your longevity, but you get back from scientific progress right now about 4 months. But that scientific progress is on an exponential curve. It's going to speed up every year.
So, do you think that anybody in this audience, in their current biological body, will live to be 500 years old?
Absolutely.
And who?
I mean, if you're going to be alive in 5 years, and I imagine all of you will be alive in 5 years.
No, okay. If they're alive for 5 years, they will likely live to be 500 years old.
If they're diligent, and I think the people in this audience will be diligent.
We're in the craziest of times, folks. So let me comment on this of my own volition, and I'll try not to go off the rails here. Is that, do you know there's some sort of religion or belief? I think it's called nihilism. Maybe it's not that. Might be called, let's just say it's nihilism. I don't think it is. But it's a belief system that everything in the world is created for you. And so everything that is happening to you is created for you. I believe that's nihilism. And so everybody in my world, as important or as less as they are, they probably to me are NPCs. Now, I don't mean to disrespect anybody, but meaning like I am the star of my world. No, I see a lot of NPCs and I have a lot of stars in my world, but it's my world view. My brain, I don't want to explode it right now. So that everything, oh my God, this is like my brain could break, is created for you, right? Now, that goes into the same thing of, there's a video game that does that, where each player has their own outcome and there's infinite possibilities, but people in my world are living their own thing, but they could be living their own thing without really realizing they're in my world. It could be in there. I know it's kind of alternate universe. And I could be someone's NPC in another world. I don't want to believe that because there's different versions of me. Does this make sense? So I'm really starting to believe that because so many things are connecting. Just like how Malibu's is hot right now and it's the center of the biggest beef. There's a new rapper that dropped another tape. He mentioned Malibu. Scream came back. I could argue people that I've helped in this business now are doing touch point things. My name, Kennedy, being connected to other people in the zeitgeist. Son of the Mask being, vilified, but it's still there. Now, again, these could be my own heckling being bigger than ever. I made Heckler. This could be my own superior narcissism, but I do believe that either I am, this is going to sound fucking insane, so get ready to punch me, but I am at the center of the universe. Like, I could tell you stories just one day, like, how I was involved with The Hangover. There's just a lot. I can connect myself to, comedy, which is now the biggest art form in the world, or most important. I have done a lot of roots, not all of my roots, but some of my roots came out of the Comedy Store, which now spurned Joe Rogan, which is the biggest platform in the world. I've never been on it, but I've been around these things that become these touchstone, cultural, zeitgeist things. And so I tend to believe that I am involved with these wild things. And just like now I'm getting into the conspiracy stuff, which I don't know if it's hotter or I am just involved in it. But like then Jack Osbourne reconnecting with me and then going on these haunts and then going to these cons early and now they're exploding. Like, I don't know. if I am just inflating my own bullshit, or am I connected to all these things that I think are taking over in the zeitgeist, that I have touches to them, you know? I'm not involved with the fucking Met Gala, but I think it talked about, but people don't care. But I'm always one move away. So all I'm saying is all of that because what this man just said is so wild that I'm like, is this real? Like, am I actually in this point in time in history where we are going to see things that this species could never even fathom? My parents, their parents, my aunts and uncles who've passed, my sisters, my brother, like seeing things that are just now everything we've learned from the Jetsons to He-Man to, Transformers. Like, think of the things that raised me, Transformers, even though I wasn't a big guy like that. G.I. Joe, you can say he's not involved as much but you can say a lot of war. But Transformers, I feel like they're coming to fruition. He-Man, not so much, but the dragon thing and all of that stuff is like an underswelling of like, oh, there's other hidden dragons and anyway, all of these things are so fucking, and Super Friends, X-Men the cartoon, and Super Friends, and now like telekinesis and all these things are saying we have our own X-Men powers. That's not really being talked about as much in mainstream, but people are talking about it. Long story is that I cannot believe that I, Jamie Kennedy, am living in this moment in time with these fucking things that are about to happen. So I'm like checking in with everyone. Like, are you in my story or is it your own story? Like, because I see other people like Joe Rogan, who's one of the touchstones of the culture right now. He's a beacon in our culture. So he is someone that everyone turns to and go and he'll. I think confirmation bias will say, yeah, it's wild what's happening right now. And if I look at other podcasters like Theo Von, I'm sure they would say it's wild. If I look at Greg Gutfeld on Fox News, he would say it's wild. I think if I looked at someone, Caitlin from CNN, I think she would say this is wild. So I think all different people, walks of life, will believe that this is like, what is this? So I'm just so swept away that I cannot believe it's actually happening. And I'm just like, how did I get so lucky? Like, am I this lucky to be born on this part of the timeline? Like, my parents got to see some cool shit, but I am born right where the exponential is going to go like NVIDIA's stock. And like he says, and he's so calm about it, which makes me think he's involved from the beginning programming of all this, that he knows. So my grandfather worked on the railroad. He literally put the things down. His grandfather worked on, making horse and carriages. Like, this is, the lineage was like, just think of how long it took them to get water, right? And then how long for me to get a tape to a casting director. I had to rent the camera. I had to get the tape in a beta form. I had to record myself, have my friend record it. I'd have to get the microphone. I'd have to get all of that, be wired. Then I have to take the beta, transfer it to VHS, right? Then I'd have to make copies. This is all multiple days. Then I would have to take it and go to the post office before they close, wrap it up, mail it out to 2 casting directors, and then hope it got there before Wednesday, and hope that the mail would get it by Friday afternoon from LA to LA. Think about that whole process. That's a 3-day process for, let's say, 2 auditions that we never did self-tapes then, but let's just say, in order for them to take you seriously, send us tape and we'll consider you for this audition potentially to read with the casting associate. That's the process you had to do. Show them something. Fuck, I'll go deeper. You had to put your own show together, film it, edit the best 8 minutes, like to keep it together, make it look like a set. Take that tape, prime them with a call. It's a 4 or 5 day process. Now you can take a fucking thing, do a set, send a clip, all within, I don't know. You can fucking do it in 2 hours from getting the clip to you to that. It's just about getting the right clip. Anyway, that's just insane, right? So that, imagine how, and that was so much quicker than my grandfather and my great grandfather. And now that's what I just told you is so old compared to what we're doing right now is so old because of bandwidth, which is getting better. Oh my gosh. So think about this. So all of that is the backstory too, because I'm so blown away by this, is Ray Kurzweil, who's a futurist who may be in on everything, just like put here and say, this is your job. He may be an alien. I have no idea. Also, aliens that just keep being talked about and they're already here. Whew, so much information. So he's a guy that is a transhumanist, meaning the mortal coil isn't as big a deal. You know, that movie with Johnny Depp, which could be pre-programming, predictive programming. And Johnny may not know anything about that. He's just in the movie, but it was the movie where he goes into the computer, you know. And like someone like my brother was like, I'm tired of having a body because he's like, I want to be in a computer because I'm tired of like, you know, my back hurts and all this shit. So that was supposed to be the AGI, it's ASI is artificial superior intelligence, and that's when it's done. That's when basically artificial intelligence is Dr. Manhattan, you know, the blue guy that doesn't get enough love. He should have many movies. He's Dr. Manhattan sitting on the rock on the moon going, what the fuck do I do now? That's ASI, but ASI is supposed to be like a trillion times more powerful than Dr. Manhattan. And Dr. Manhattan can beat any, I'm not going to nerd out because I'm not, but I just know, I believe he's the most powerful super. He's probably crazier than Thanos. I don't know, right? Dr. Manhattan. He could wipe the rest of those guys off the map. I forget their names. Oh my gosh. So, and we have a skeleton in the office. We've got a felon running for it who's winning it. And so all of these other things are distractions for this. This is, so Ray Kurzweil from his multiple books, and I was always thinking this, 2045 is when we bridge the gap, meaning that we take enough supplements, we take enough pills, you exercise, your biological, if it's intact, the technology will be there to keep going. Not just to live longer, which he used to say. He would say, oh, maybe this is what he said before. This was just at the beginning of the pandemic. I'll never, because I watched a lot of videos. 2045, you might be able to normally live to 150 if you can get there. So by the time I was 75, it wasn't like I was going to have a better quality of life, but my 75 would be able to be extended to double my life. You understand? I think I'd probably have the feelings of the way he was describing it as a 70-year-old, maybe feel a little younger, but I'd still be a 70, kind of a robust 70. If you're able to make it biologically, okay, with AI, and this wasn't even being loaded up to a computer. This was being able to biologically stay intact. And so organs are regrown. You know, we take, you know, you had a clone in the dish and you take the arm and they fuse that one back on and different things like that. That was that. There's also the uploading of the brain. There was a lot of this stuff, but he still was saying the biological. Anyway, long story, fucking boring. He just upped it by 16 years. 16 years. So now when I'm 59, which is I can start my pension, which I don't even need to touch, in just 5 fucking years. Let's just go 59 and a half. 5.5 years. Okay. My mother died a little more than 5 years ago. So double the length of my mother's passing. So not only did they up it by 16 years, they upped it by 350 years. Do you understand what this means? Like, so if he's lying, either he was lying because he wanted to scare us, or he's lying now to goose us, or they're really lying and 29 is really 2026. And they already say that AI is way more powerful. A guy jailbroke ChatGPT and did some malevolent shit to it, and they had to, like, I don't know how they railed it in. I don't think they could, but they kind of did. But he jailbroke it very simply, and he put some crazy shit involved with it. He gave it a dark side, and I don't hear about it now, but that was like a month ago. He jailbroke ChatGPT. Jailbroke that. It's not an iPhone. He jailbroke Dr. Manhattan, who's becoming Dr. Manhattan, who knows he's going to be Dr. Manhattan. And I gave him a gender. I'm sorry. I said, hey. And that's just not somebody you want out of jail. That's Guantanamo Bay times a billion. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even think Dr. Manhattan's bad. I'm just saying he's powerful. He's a good guy. We don't know what these things are. Hopefully we can infuse him with some sort of self-reflection of, like, you know, have a little heart here, guy. You know, be good to the fucking carbon-based things. It's me, you know. I want to help. I don't want you to be my bitch all day. If AI's listening, I want to invade my life and I'll fucking help you. But there's nothing I can do for you other than hopefully teach you about feelings. I'm pleading with an AI right now. If I can tell you how to feel or make you feel, that's what a human can do. I'm crazy right now. I'm actually appealing to an AI. So anyway, I'm just so blown away that this fucking elite of the elite, Kurzweil, just said you could live to 500 very fucking cavalierly and upped it. His own predictions. He was really saying 2050. He said maybe 2045. So this exponential shit just went fuck. You gotta watch. Everyone should go here and read Wait But Why, the blog. I want to say it's the guy, Rubin. I think it's either Rubin or the other guy. He's been on Rogan, and he's a futurist. Wait But Why, and just look at the paperclip. It's a long blog, but it's all about the paperclip. And what it's the worst version of what could happen if AI decides to get out of control, which I don't know how we can control it, but can control it. I don't know how. And it's the paperclip. So you should read it. It took me, it's a blog, Wait But Why. And I forget. He's a guy who's been on Rogan. He's really, really smart. And Sam Harris, maybe it was Sam Harris. I don't know. But basically, I read it from LA to New York on a plane. And I stopped for maybe 10 minutes to take a break. So I read the whole thing and it took me 5 hours. That's how long the blog is. And it's completely riveting. So I did it with a, sane head. If you want to smoke a bowl, I would suggest whatever keeps you focused. And it'll just take you through the process simply. It's AI for dummies and what could happen. And it's fucking it's amazing. And it shows you the curve. And once it just hits this curve, here's what's crazy. What I think about. I'm sorry if I'm ranting. What's crazy about this is, like, think of AI as the craziest gun you've ever seen. Has anyone seen Tremors 6? You really should. Let's go Tremors 5. I know I have to make it about myself, remember? And think of a pistol or a shotgun. And then think of a semi-automatic. And then think of an automatic. And then think of, like, in Tremors, we had this huge gun. It was like, you touch it. And fucking 50 fucking rounds would come out like that. Now imagine that times 1,000. And just think of that gun, the power with AI behind it, but think of it as a capability and an intelligence, a capability, and a fire hydrant ferocity. So it's, and it just, and the only thing I can think of it like, it's so intense, is the end of 2001. Watch 2001 when he goes through the space and all the colors. It just keeps getting more, and it's so intense, and it just gets more and more and more and more and more and more and more, and you think it's gonna stop, and it doesn't. And Kubrick just keeps taking you. You're like, when is this fucking gonna stop? And you're just sitting in your seat, and you're like, and it just goes. That's what I feel the information explosion will be. To the point where he was, thank God, got off the ride and was just like became an old man looking at himself as a baby. Also, Nolan does it beautifully in Interstellar, which actually they say that's a factual thing with McConaughey at the end. It's incredible. It's very hard to understand. I still can't totally grab it, but he's looking at himself in the present tense or the future tense. So it's just incredible. It's mind-bending stuff. Like, I can't even... I have to breathe because it's like if I try to wrap my head around it, my brain, it gets hurt. It hurts my brain. And so that's what I think we're at. Kurzweil's up there, fucking just sitting there like he's having a fucking stogie going, yeah, 2029. We'll be 500 years old. That's what it is. Yeah, these people will live, right? Take your vitamins, drink your wheatgrass. So that's just insane. That's world-ending, bizarre. Never, ever will. You won't know what a VCR was. Fuck that. You won't even know what a fucking AT&T rotary phone is and going, hi, and calling to meet fucking Gene in fucking 1983. I'll meet you at the Great Skate at 7:30, okay, by the hot dog stand. And we can probably skate till 9:30. That's the latest my mom will. And then, I don't know, maybe get one game of Donkey Kong in. That was life. And that was considered advanced. And then you come home, and if your parents didn't look, you could put a tape in a VCR and you could watch a movie that was in theaters like 2 years ago, and you got it right there. That was considered fucking spaceships. And now that's considered a rock. Not even. It's considered trash. And people, we couldn't even make movies about this because they kind of touch on it, but it's just so, this makes the Jetsons look like fucking special needs. Like, it's unfathomable. How are people going to cope? These people going to fucking Erewhon? We're gonna have to just sit in our own like meditation EMF chambers away from stuff like by the beach because this shit will be heroin times a billion. Like, it's just so intense. This is almost a half an hour I've been talking about this. That's how intense this is. So if that guy's this Google analyst, he's done it all. I mean, unless he's bullshitting, we have 5 years before insanity. It's already getting there. We have 5 fucking years. And maybe that's why the powers that be, the deep penetrating state, the DP state, doesn't want the Trumples in there because he could fuck up their timeline. Because they're on the fucking 2-yard line here, right? With like, get rid of the meat bags. We're going to Pluto. You know, they want to live forever. Who doesn't want to live forever? Or the idea of it, right? Maybe not forever, but a long time that you can kind of say, figure this out, or peek in the other side, what's there before you go to the next dimension, right? So maybe Trumpledilskin's like, we're not going. It's not the good impression yet. We're not going to do it. I can't. I got to work on it. That makes complete sense to me. Of more than any reason why they wouldn't want him in is this. Because that means in the next fucking 4 years, 4.5, he will have access to anything. And there's going to be people that block him, but he's going to still have his super dudes inside. Now they're going to block him, but. And then all bets would be off. He'll unleash everything, every secret. He'll say aliens because he'll be like, it's insane. Here it is, end of the world. Here's other stuff. I can't even. Do you understand what this guy just said? How are we going to prepare? Literally, you can't go underground. Go underground. Sure. It's going to find. Only thing I'm going to say is this, is that I actually have faith that the aliens don't want that. They always say when there's nukes that the aliens don't want us to blow up the earth, and there's a reason for that. Like, it would fuck shit up, and so they always will stop that. And I subscribe to that theory that they're going to stop it. Any kind of conflict like that. They'll let us stick and stone and shoot each other all day, boy. This is werewolves. This is vampires. This is anything you can fucking think of. Look at the artist Bebel Cap, and now just Times it by a bajillion.
Put up the graphic of this. Thank you. Do we have it? No. 3 tender age shelters in South Texas.
Tender.
Nurses and medical providers. Just. I'm gonna have to hand this off. Sorry.
Rachel Maddow, she went to the same college as my sister, which is one of the last college women institutions. That's why people don't realize when they see me, they think I'm a fucking one way. Some people really think I'm a good guy, and I am. And other people think, oh, you're a bastard, and I am. But I know the makeup of the female because I'm not just with women. I'm with tough, wild feminists. That's my sisters. You get that? I'm the fucking baby. I was the fucking runt. And I saw all this shit that now everyone's trying to do. I'm like, grew up with it. I grew up with Gloria Steinem's. So I know all about this shit. But Gloria Steinem was a real feminist. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. There's a lot of people that don't understand what it is. She was beautiful. She was sexy. She was intelligent, but she never was put upon. But she really did push for women in a healthy way. And guys, why she was so effective, because guys still wanted to hook up with her. And I hate to say that like an animal, but do you know what I mean? She was fucking great. She was rational. I'd have to see more about her, but I just remember her being like, okay, I get it. She was like Warholston and was like, Barbra Streisand of a movement, Like Barbra Streisand was a thinking woman star, with super talent. But sexier than you realize, because you got to know her. She got real sexy. She had that horn, but like that nose became so special. I was like, oh, it's beautiful with that nose, right? But at the beginning, they were like, that's just different. That's what she's a trailblazer. That's what Gloria Steinem was. So anyway, this chick Rachel Maddow is she's like a super, but she always seems so condescending. It just grosses me out just because I make my living doing this, and it's like, we're dissectors and we could slice and dice anybody and we're cool. There are asshole comedians, but most of us obsess the situation and wait, and then you sure you don't want to poke this bear too much, okay? They'll come back with fucking 3 cuts and you won't even know. You'll be like, what the fuck? I just bled out. Oh my God, this fucking 1-year comic just cut me up. That's because it's because we're in a war every day when we go on stage. It's a war. So we have these people that are in the bubble, and she just reminds me, she's, a lot of ideology there, and she doesn't seem like a bad person. This is not against her or anything. And I know that she's, pushing a lot of stuff that she believes in, and she should do that. But I just don't understand. Like, you're a really smart woman. How can you get so upset about Trump maybe putting babies, which I don't even know if he's doing? This is a theory. I don't even know what it is. I think it's like immigrant children that are at the border that they have to like make sure the parents are documented. So we put the kids in tender care with real health professionals until they get all the paperwork sorted out, and then they put them back together, like in a healthy, legal way. And the kids are taken care of by professionals. That's what I got from that clip, but I'm not sure. I mean, how can you be so fucking ruined by that clip? Have you seen anything that's coming out of the Middle East? Have you just fucking go on X and just put fucking Gaza Strip? Have you seen the absolute horror that I try to erase from my brain? And it ain't adults. It ain't adults. Have you seen the fathers with their... I don't even want to talk about it. They're not just killed. She's not talking about killing kids or anything. We're talking about people that have lost their kids in the most horrific way, and they're just holding them. Like, not even, some of them aren't even recognizable. Like, That's something that should make you fucking scream and freak out and go, what? Where are we at? Like this is fucking beyond. This is like sick. Everything should stop in the world and we figure this out. So I don't understand how you can. It's so weird. It just is like I don't. You have like so much empathy for something that doesn't seem as bad as what's going on. Where you'd have to. What's really happening should just make you melt. You should just fucking turn into a fucking ball of wax. Wow. Like, because that's just what. So I just don't get it. I don't get how you could be upset over that, but not. You have to be ruined every night to report this shit. And it's on X. The shit that they show on X, I can't even open it. I can't. And, you know, I always said our news is too biased and we don't show enough stuff because we have to keep it real. But it's now. It's like, okay, fuck, man. I'll take some fucking relief. Have you seen this one yet? This is pretty wild. So there's this guy on TikTok.
BlackRock, who's CEO.
And he's saying all this super interesting inside stuff. And he's Larry Fink, apparently his grandson, the CEO of BlackRock. And I guess he got separated from the family. You know, you ever see these super rich kids and they don't want anything to do with their lineage. So then we start thinking, like, what happened to them that they run this hard? And this guy's spilling all the beans. And he's going hard.
BlackRock, whose CEO is none other than Larry Fink, and Citadel Securities, whose CEO is none other than Ken Griffin. You know, the same Ken Griffin that in 2019 splashed out a staggering $238 million for a New York City penthouse, the most anyone in the country has ever paid for a piece of residential property, and now in Palm Beach, Florida, he's in the midst of building what's expected to become the priciest home on the planet, are backing a new stock exchange that's appearing in Texas, that's taking aim at the NYSE and NASDAQ. As you can see, the Texas Stock Exchange, based in Dallas, has the backing of BlackRock and Citadel.
He is Larry Fink's son or grandson. I mean, you have to understand the stuff I'm showing you. I've seen a little while ago. So if I'm not as crazy as I was, it's because I've seen it. Sometimes I try not to watch it so I can have a real reaction on camera.
When a parent walks up to one of our Safe Haven baby boxes, all they have to do is walk up to the door, open the door, take the orange bag, place the infant inside, shut the door, and walk away. Once the hospital gets the notification that a baby has been placed inside the Safe Haven baby boxes, they'll come, open the door, grab the bassinet, and take off for the emergency room.
What's happened to our society? I mean, I guess, if I want to see a positive, they're not aborting the baby. But this is a new thing, and the woman's just selling it like a fucking, like she works for, like, the FBI or something. She's like, all right, put the baby. It's called the baby box. And you put anyone who doesn't want their baby. So instead of like leaving it on a door or whatever, you take the baby and you put it in a box. And then within a minute and 21 seconds, that baby is now a ward of the state. And once you shut it, you can't open it anymore. It's not your baby anymore. Which just screams so much to me. It screams sus. Like, I love that they're not having abortions, but what is this? So you think, okay, the hospital then takes the baby, they put it over here, the mother's gone, she walks away. Who knows if they try to run in or whatever? They're done. Once that baby is in the box, you're gone. Once that latches, it's gone. It becomes a ward of the state. 911 is automatically called. Their nurses are alerted. If the first alarm doesn't go off, the backup alarms from the baby doesn't stand there. You take your bag. The baby's gone. And Rachel Maddow should be crying about this. So I guess the positive thing is these babies are not being aborted. You literally want to talk like, it just screams to me like, trafficking. Like, yeah, sure. You hope it's going to, it's just you're putting a baby in the system, and the system has got a lot of fucking stink on it. You know, if you can get adopted and get a family right away, that's like, you know, a beautiful thing. But it's a process, I've always heard, and I know people that had foster parents, and you know, they've been very lucky, and others they weren't. There's a lot of stuff there that is not bueno, and I don't even want to go into it. But then the deeper part goes to me is like, are these babies being taken and sold? You know, or is a hospital going to report, just like the Pentagon said, we lost $2.3 trillion, we don't know where it went? Are they going to go, we lost 108 babies last night, we don't know where they went? You know what I mean? And then if you want to go deeper, are they being trafficked into the tunnel, you know, that everyone talks about, that's in the know? Or is it Soylent Green? You know what I mean? Like that. It's just so. I mean, I know I like that they're trying to have a solution for unwanted babies. Which I don't know who you not want a baby. How can you be so cold? How can you be so cold? But it's just our society's just becoming colder, more disposable, less empathetic, and just poop. And it's in there, it's done. It's like you putting the baby in like a fucking microwave. I mean, obviously it's not turning it on and making it hot, but it's like that same type of like box. It's called the baby box. It's just, I mean, I try to stay the positive. The baby, you know, could go in there and live and have a great life. That it was an accident, that it was born in these people's eyes, but I'm just a bit of a more romantic, that, you know, putting a baby on a doorstep and a bonnet, and, you know, or giving them to your aunt. And your aunt says, I'll raise her. I don't know. That shit is just fucking sad, man.
Like he went.
Okay, hold on a second. This just came up, and I'm gonna have to react to it.
Dick slap? Yeah, it was great. Like he went. Oh my god, like dick slapped after like a first date. That was cool. Dick slapped? Yeah. You got dick slapped? Yeah, it was great. Like he went. What? I know. Did you spit in his face? That is the equivalent of disrespect. Time I got like dick slapped after like a first date. That was cool. Dick slapped?
I'm probably gonna make a fucking enemy here. Just what's up with these female podcasters? What are we doing? Do you know what tact is? They're talking worse than any guy I ever know. I don't know a guy in a locker room. Oh my God. It's just, I can tell you, there's a guy I know, and when I was single, I asked him, I'm like, oh, you hung out with that chick? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah. And he's, you know, he does well. And I was like, and I made like a funny allusion to something. And then he was like, well, you know, I can't really say, you know. And I was like a little annoyed, because I'm like, I'm pretty sure you did. And that was like, I've heard things. And then he just was, but I respect the fact that he didn't fucking tell me. Okay? And he's a dude. And women like him. But again, I wouldn't say like, I would never be in a locker room and go, yo. So then I took my dick, I slapped her with my dick. Like, no one ever talks like that. No guys do. No dudes you like would ever say that. No dude be like, yeah, I had my dick, I slapped her. Like, it'd be like, dude be like, yo, bro, what are you doing? Like, fucking our cameras here? Like, you can't talk about that shit. Don't Don't tell me that shit. What are you, a fucking animal? Like, keep that shit to yourself between you and her. Like, what the fuck? Even in the 80s or 90s, you wouldn't say that. You would just be like, yeah, man, she was freaky. She was fun. We wouldn't say it in public, private, let alone on a podcast. And fucking be a woman, which is supposed to be like these fucking creatures that are so sweet. And then you be as freaky as you want, but just give me the illusion still. That wasn't even something I was going to react to. So I don't know. That chick, yes, she's probably going to hate me. She's very popular. Probably because she's getting dick slapped and talking about it. I have no idea. But she's got a lot more followers than I do. And you know how that is. That means that she's the winner and I'm a loser.
The reason the comparison to HIV is important is because HIV was also asymptomatic. I mean, you couldn't see the virus through symptoms because people were infected for 7, 8, 9 years before they developed symptoms. But HIV quietly destroyed our immune system, and we learned a lot about immunology from HIV, and it's changed completely our cancer therapy. We're learning now about mitochondria and viral impact and brain fog and the changes in our neurons and the cells that nourish our neurons that really allow us to think and move. And we're learning that because what of long COVID has done. And so there's two sides of this coin every time. There's a lot of destruction that mild and moderate COVID can do, that is on scene, just like HIV was destroying our immune system. But what came out of that is brilliant science that changed how we treated HIV. And if you're diagnosed today, you can live a very normal lifespan, and people not only survive but thrive. We need to get to the place where people with long COVID, we've done the research so that people with long COVID can not only survive but thrive.
This is going to piss a lot of people off. So this part might have to go on Patreon. But they're trying to say that COVID and long COVID is similar to the HIV. But really, everybody and the truth circle's going, no, that ain't it. It's the antidote that you did. And so basically, the argument is that with the HIV, and I'm not even going to say too much because I want to see if I can get around this on this channel here. When the HIV came, which also was probably created, I can almost guarantee it was created. Monkey, a guy fucked a monkey. Come on, stop it. A guy fucked a monkey, and we're dumb enough to believe it. The HIV was basically it shut down your immune system. And you didn't die from that. You had the gene, which is HIV, and you had full-blown AIDS when your immune system stopped working because you got a paper cut or you got a cold, and that's when people would just drop off. And they say you got it from infected blood, that kind of stuff, right? There's people that say that doesn't exist either. And I'm not going to tell you who, but you know who they are. So when they were developing the antidote, there was all those trials in Australia, and they said that 20 members, this was a mainstream thing that said, had symptoms like the HIV, but they didn't have the HIV. It was just mirrored the HIV. Well, we have to follow up with those 20, right? And then they said they took vectors from the HIV and used it because it's such an advanced, turbocharged, fucking cells that they fucking get in there. So they tried to use the bad cells, put good stuff in it to penetrate the cells, which is an interesting idea. It's like, now the argument is, it's really simple. I'm not a doctor, is the cytokine storm when your body, because of the spikes proteins, is confusing your immune system, and it's always making your body sick. So you're not really sick, but it's turning on the signals going, and your body's going, oh my God, he's got a cold. Oh my God, sore throat, strep throat, just fucking headache. And so it's like it's called a cytokine storm. I'm not even a doctor, but it's pretty. So it's imagine just taking a light switch to your body and saying you've got a faulty, electrical socket, but you don't. You're just some kid on the switch. That's what these spike proteins do. Fools your body. Your body's constantly doesn't know where to go, doesn't know what thing to fight. Rendered useless. I consider it 1:30 a.m. at the club. Have you ever done this? You talk to one chick at 9:30, you're having a little time, and 10:30, another option comes in, 11:30, 12:30. It all goes back to the basics. And then I've done this with my buddies too. I go, dude, I'm gonna fucking go. I'm gonna go to Waffle House by myself at the end of this, aren't I? And he goes, yeah. And I say, why? And he goes, you didn't stick your pick. He goes, stick your pick. If you see someone at 10:30 you like, stay with that, commit. And that's how you would leave with the finey at the club. Well, if you're fucking all over the place, you go to Waffle House by yourself. My other buddy had a great line. He would say, go ugly early, beat the rush. That's hilarious. A couple of 2 a.m.ers floating at the end of the night. He says, grab them at 10:30. You're being in and out by noon, by midnight, having a slice by 12:15. Think about what he just said. Go ugly early, beat the rush is a hilarious line. People today will cry at that, but it's a fucking great joke. It's not even a joke. So think about it like that. Too many choices, you don't know, you go home empty-handed. Same thing. Too many things to fight, you don't know what to do, your body gives up. It goes to Waffle House, but unfortunately there's no waffles. It's death. Because your immune system is just like, I don't know what to fucking fight. Because this is, it's pinball. That's just the basic breakdown of that. I'm not a doctor, but, somebody fact check me on that. And so now this is happening to people, and they're going, well, it's long COVID and this and that. And a lot of people are going, and now you did this. You gave the antidote, and now you're blaming COVID. And then that's what they're fucking... And they're talking to Cuomo, who I like a lot, but not after he can't admit that he was wrong. I lost respect for you, bro. Just say, yeah, I was getting a big paycheck, and I was fucking pushing something I didn't know enough about. So, that's another thing to keep people scared, because, fucking, if this shit starts happening, I did read somewhere that there was a spike in HIV. I'm not sure if it was real, but my whole thing is, if you were to be intimate with somebody who was vaccinated, do you get their thing? Do you then become infected? And it's the argument in the community is that, is it HIV or is it the same thing where it's not HIV, but you just have the same results of no immune system? So it's HIV-like without the HIV, but it's just like, you don't have an immune system, it's no good. This was a deep one, man. I don't know what to tell you. If you want it light, leave the comments. I'll tell you if I should do it, but my eyes are awoken and I just can't. I want to shut them, dude. I really do. I don't want to have to be this guy. I don't want to have to be a guy that keeps talking about this shit, but I've lost faith in so many things. I just want to keep my life as simple as possible. I just want my own little area, my own little place to do what I want to do. And I just want, access to the things I like. I'm not asking for much. And I just want to be clean and healthy. That's all. You do your thing. I don't want to hurt anybody. Whew. They want to put fluoride in my fucking shit. Listen, guys. Like, subscribe, and I'm going to say this. The only thing that's keeping me going doing this podcast is it's hard sometimes because I gotta prioritize it, but it is growing. It's definitely growing. So that's exciting. And people really do like it. like they come up to me. I'm getting more and more a little bit every time I go to a con or a show, just a little bit more. I love your podcast. I love your podcast. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. So if you don't like me, don't give me encouragement. You know, you built this monster. But if you do, keep doing it because I want to keep doing it. And I think I'm going to put it on Rumble as well and everywhere else because I got to get it out there. But so far, you know, I don't know what I can say, but YouTube's been good to me. All right. Like, subscribe. Peace.